still remember you, of course. Clip grid. What up, Jesse? What's going on? If you look at the channel activity, let me see if anything pops up. But I do remember you. It's been like months, months. For some reason, the channel activity doesn't pop up for me. How you doing, Jesse? What up? How's everything been? How's y'all doing in this mighty fine late evening? It's actually almost midnight over here. Oh, what you been up to, Club Grid? Where have you disappeared to? I'm pretty sure you got life going on, so that's always understandable. Oh my god, I hope I didn't. Okay, I didn't share part of the screen. Y'all working hard? How about you, Jesse? How you doing? Say word. I'm just setting this up for a little bit right now. Um, then we can just check out a few random things here and there. Catch up to catch up and see what's been happening. Like this is just gonna be a random short stream. Just letting you know. Just random. Um, and then we'll probably look at some charts here and there to see like what's the latest movement in the indexes, commodities, silver, silver, silver. I mean, we've kept talking about silver for a while, and everybody's been circulating a lot of speculation in silver and how it's been suppressed, and it's only a matter of time since silver begins to surge, in my opinion. And what we saw last week was definitely a shocker, a surprise surge from silver. It was last trading at around between a range of $32 to $33 an ounce, and we'll check right now. We'll look at the chart right now, and see where silver is at right now. All right, so it did fall below, but look at that, $36.33 an ounce. As of Friday, June 6th, that was the new 52-week high, and we pretty much seen what it looks like to be a rising wedgie, or maybe an ascending channel. I've been trying to mess around with this and see like what we get from this. Maybe something like that. But that would actually be wild if silver could actually hit 40 before this month is over. The summer of precious metals, summer of gold, the summer of silver. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but that is wild. And if that's the case, and silver is now at just cusp at 36, it could come down a little bit, start pulling back, but just taking a look at like iShares Silver Trust, is an example, which runs with silver, of course. Um, that's pretty much pulling off the same algorithm as you can see here. And when it reached the high of $36.33 an ounce for silver, SLV reached a high of 33.02, and so forth. So you can definitely see the resemblance there. It it's just literally a representation of what silver is doing through SLV. You see it right there. And if SLV, I mean, if silver, begins to pull back, like for example, if it goes back down to, let's say 35.80, or if it decides to drop down all the way to like 35.50, just give and take, as an example, then SLV will do the same thing, and it'll come down and follow, and it'll probably drop to almost $32 on the mark. So in most cases, people will just scalp trade this, do options, and figured, okay, well, you know what? If silver is pulling back, it might as well just get some SLV puts for the $32.50 strike. And of course, always do your research. This is not financial advice. What we're doing is just for research purposes. What up, Matt? What up? How you doing, man? How was your weekend? Just showing an example here, and you can see there has been some decent volume coming into these strikes, these puts for this Friday's expiration, and so forth. So take a look at the calls. Not so much, though there is a bit of extra volume for the $33 strike, but always follow the trends. Always follow the trends. So if vice versa, if the opposite happens and it starts to break back over 36 and silver surges back to those highs, then you would go with that trend and play the opposite and go for calls like I just showed you. But how's everything? Good. Starting to see what it looks good for tomorrow morning. Yes, sir. That is absolutely what we're doing right now, currently. Looks like silver is a bit suppressed. Gary, welcome. Lions Den on TV, on the big screen, and in theaters near you. For 40X surround sound, live, coming at you from the East Coast. To everybody, much love to everyone who is actually joining into the stream. I'm actually surprised because usually I never stream at this time, and I'm usually getting ready to sleep to go to work tomorrow morning. It's a whole new week. Silver. You already know. We've been talking about silver for a long time, and on top of that, we have also discussed a couple of stocks that also revolve around silver, like we just mentioned, SLV. But one that we have been talking about for like, I think we've been talking about it for a year. Let's just look at it on the search bar here on the Discord. And let's see. Oh no, why am I searching this for? Let's see. It's EXK. We're talking about EXK. And that was around, so it's gonna be probably, it's gonna be a year from now. No, not a year from now. What I'm talking about, a year ago. that we discovered EXK, Endeavor Silver Corporation, not financial advice, and that it would be a silver mining potential play in case the price of silver runs. And and that was okay. So July 11th. We might have discussed it before that, but July 11th. Let's look. Let's take a look at the. Yeah, we could take a look at the daily. Oh, we could definitely take a look at MB for my bad. What did I say? July 11th of last year. So this is how it looked like for that whole entire year of 2024, where EXK back in March of 2024, or actually close to the end. Yeah, I guess you want to say March 1st. It was at a low of $1.43, and just look at the way that EXK traded afterwards. Some ups and some higher highs. Reached at a certain peak, dropped back down for a double bottom, and then went back up to reach new highs afterwards again, going as high as 567, 52-week high around the end of October of last year, and then coming back down from here. But it's it has been holding up pretty well, way above the $3 level past couple of times throughout January, throughout April of this year, beginning of April, and took another bottom here around mid-May, and now it's pretty much following what silver is doing. So if we go back and take a look at the daily for silver, you can see some of the resemblance there in a way. So again, if silver decides to surge, I'm gonna pretty much guess here that EXK does have another chance to hit that $5 level again and start breaking out from there. Not financial advice. Third time's a charm for EXK. It might just be, yeah, it might just be the case. Oh wow, yeah, it's holding off that trend line here. What's that thing called again? The adaptive calm and trend filter. And also you can see here the oscillator. It's actually taking a little bit of a double bottom. This is the weekly, by the way, the weekly chart, and which looks like it could go for a rebound and come back to those higher levels, in my opinion. Do your own DD, NFA. So it depends on what could happen after that situation. Look at EXK on the weekly though. Let's look at EXK on the monthly. Let's see. That's a nice breakout right here. Yeah, overall it looks really interesting. Damn, back in nah, see, it ain't so. Back in 2011, apparently this was a $13.10 high. The month of September of 2011. 2011 September. What was silver? Oh yeah, look at that. September. Well, silver in April of 2011 was at a high of 49.83. September it was at a high of 43.38, and then went back down to 26.10. It's a big drop from there. Huh. Is that almost a head and shoulders on the weekly? You can see that. You can see right now. On the weekly. Let's see. Where should we draw? Well, let's see. Where should we draw the head and shoulders? Okay, I think I see what you mean. I think it's probably somewhere around here. Here's the left shoulder, the head, and then the right shoulder. Unless it's backwards, because he's upside down. So right shoulder, head, left shoulder. And who knows? Maybe a little cup and handle. But yeah, it definitely looks like a resemblance of the head and shoulders here. Uh, da, da. I can never do this correctly. Let me look at the daily. Yeah, even the daily kind of. It looks like a discombobulated inverse head and shoulders. This is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the head, and then the. Yeah, it looks a little deformed. It's a little deformed there. But what's funny is that yeah, it does do also represent a possible cup and handle because of the way that this took shape. We have this rounded shape here, rounded bottom, and then coming back up, and then you have a bit of a pullback. So maybe like somehow just try to find another bottom, then come right back over, and then finish building that handle, and then probably go for that $5 level. If that's the bullish case scenario, in my opinion. But anything can change from this point. Silver just needs to stay strong, right around 36, and consolidate, and then try to go for another push. So we're gonna see what happens with silver if it actually goes ham this week, and then probably push for 37, or if it actually just pulls back and cools down, probably hitting back around 35, bounce back from there. So not only I was zooming out and ignoring that last little spike. Yeah. Just trying to see the bigger picture from there. What else? What was that other? I think it was Vizsla. Well, then there's also HYMC, and HYMC has more of a defined breakout, more than EXK, and just about. Well, from the 21st of May at a bottom of 271 to going as high as 460, that's a good amount of gain. Let's see, that was so you're talking about like just about 70% in a time frame of 16 days. If you look at the weekly, you can see there's like a looks like a huge double bottom here. And the monthly also kind of shows you that resemblance of a W, well, of a double bottom here and here. Some butt cheeks for you. And a resistance that had been tested a couple of times in the past. All this here. So that would be somewhere around 450. And not once, not twice, but 3 times the charm, and maybe we can definitely get a breakout from there and test 5. That would be cool. You know what's funny? You read my. I was literally about to talk about Groupon, And I also like mentioned on the I also mentioned on the chat, and I was like, oh, what is this? Hold on, let me jump to the present. It's the future. Um, because Big Jr. As a matter of fact, hold on, I need to share this with I need to share the stream here. I need to share the stream. You see this? See this right here? Actually, as a matter of fact, I have it right here where I talk about Groupon back on October. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So October 21st of last year. Here, I believe this was the first time we went over Groupon on the chart. Maybe before that, I'm not too sure, but I remember talking about it with Kenneth, and it was just me, him, and then others, like a few others. And we were just looking around and see like what was the latest news. And 5 days prior to that date of October 21st, it had showed that Roth MKM had a analyst rating. Well, they had a price target of $26 per share. Mind you, this was a um, so in the beginning of October, this was around $9 a share. And then you have here on October 8th, Northland Capital Markets with an analyst rating of outperform, and their price target was at $20 a share. Right? So look at this. So this on that date, um, Groupon's off exchange short volume ratio was at a high of 62.12%. Climbing back up again. Days to cover was at 6.39, and the short interest percentage of the float was 41.67%. Look at that. Let me fast forward there. Yeah, so let me see. Did I go over it again? No, I guess that was like the only time I went over it. But yeah, fast forward to now, and looking at it on the we're looking at it on the monthly now, but look at the trend. Look at where it came from too. Is this like this is crazy? You did have only one reverse split in the history of this chart for Groupon, and that was back in June 11th of 2020. Pretty much right in the midst of the pandemic, they did a 1 for 20 split. But once upon a time, this IPO'd back in 2011 at about a high of $622, $622.80. Mind you, that's post split prices. So if you go ahead and, of course, if you go ahead and divide that by 20, that price was originally pre-split $31.14. So $31.14. So theoretically speaking, if it never so we're pretty much back to where we started when I'm saying I'm talking about Groupon. Groupon is pretty much where it first started when it IPO'd, but Groupon is now at a close of $32.94 with the 52-week high being at now $33.05. So that's crazy. So now fast forward to here, and you have this situation now that it bottomed out at a low of $7. No, $2.89 back in May 1st, the month of May of 2023. Right, and ever since then, it had been slowly growing back. Well, slowly growing, trending back up. It had gone up as high as 1956 at one point on the month of March of this year, coming back down to 775 on the month of November. No, I mean last year. Then November of 2024, coming back down to 775, and then after earnings, around March 11th of this year, their earnings per share was a miss, but the revenue was actually high, and that um, resulted in the stock to go crazy in the last 4 months. So if we calculate this move from March to now, it had it has been up over 250% in the past 90 days. And we've been talking about this stock back around this point. Where did we say? October. So it was in between the range of 8 to $12 a share. And right after it hit the bottom of 775, where they actually beat earnings per share but missed on revenue, regardless, from there everything changed and they started gaining um, momentum. They were knocking it out of the park afterwards, and this thing went crazy. So, so yeah, fast forward to today, as we see the price action for Groupon from Friday. And yeah, you can tell that there has been a lot of activity for Groupon as it's trading now, and it looks like it wants to go a lot higher too. So I'm actually pretty surprised about that. I don't think that Groupon, yeah, they're not trading on the 24-hour markets, but there could be a possibility of. Oh my God. Um, not gonna lie, but Matt, this is crazy because the trend on the 333-minute chart, it still looks hella bullish in my opinion. It looks like they could go for another breakout and probably push for 34 or even higher. What do you think about that? Check the 4-hour chart. It's that, yeah, it just kind of hanging out. If it pops up out of this holding pattern, it could run. Let me actually look at the Fintel data. What's the recent Fintel data for Groupon? Because it looks like it could continue. It looks like it could continue to go. Like, it could hit 34. Not financial advice. Oh, look. I'm human. I'm not AI. Let me in. Thank you. So you could see here, and cost to borrow. I mean, not the cost to borrow. The off exchange short volume ratio at 62.45%. Short interest percentage of the flow at 29.10%, compared to what we saw on that video back in October 21st. Oh yes. Crazy. 6.28 days to cover. Compared to the amount of short shares available on October 21st, when it was at like 8,600,000 short shares. Now, a day ago here reported that they only have 550,000 short shares available, with just a little itty bitty tiny percentage of short borrow fee rates at 0.73%. So nothing crazy, nothing to be like, you know. But I am actually kind of curious about what institutions are holding heavy for Groupon, because if there's a lot of institutions heavy into this stock, then there could be more positive growth for this company, and the way that this company has been moving, that the stock has been moving ever since that bottom of what 289 here back in 2 years ago to now. I mean, this is something to keep a close eye on, in my opinion. So let's see if we take a look at the market cap. You got 1.30 billion-dollar company with a float of 22.36 million shares, 39.82 million outstanding. Institutionally owned, we have 77.1% of institutions heavy in Groupon. All right. See what it says here. Cash burn of negative 0.02 million. An estimated current cash of 301.6 million at hand, which is apparently the current cash estimate that the company holds. If you look at the news, I don't think there's any type of news yet. I don't know what this is all about. Dilution news. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Holders. Matt says, yeah, cost to borrow was up on the run up, but calmed back down. I think it was double digits at one point too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, look at that. You have 25.57%. To Pale Fire Capital SE, and they hold about 10,181,070 shares, effective March 31st of this year and filed May 15th. Then you have Continental General Insurance who actually added and bought 2,282,732 shares of this company at 5.73%. BlackRock here, it looks like they had sold 25,634, but they still hold 1,771,696 shares. It's not enough there. Some sold, some gained, some bought. You got Citadel here, Citadel Advisors. Actually had some shares, but then they bought about 729,086 shares, which makes it a total of 737,103 shares. D.E. Shaw and Company buying 514,356 shares worth of Groupon. Interesting. Shall we see? Yes. Let me see what this article is about. June 4th, 2025 at 9:30 in the morning. I'm bored. 52% of Chicago kids. Hey, look at that. Chicago. Illinois. What it do? 52% of Chicago kids complain within a week of summer break. New Groupon study reveals nearly 56% of parents are cutting back due to financial stress. Says here, school bells may be ringing for the last time this year, but for many Chicago families, summer is already testing their limits. New research from Groupon reveals that more than half
of kids say I'm bored within the first week of break, while nearly 56% of parents have cut back on outing due to economic concerns. Oh shoot! All right, Matt is out. Dude, we'll talk. We'll talk later. Thanks for hanging out for a little bit here. As may do the same thing too in just a little bit, because it is getting late. I just wanted to hop in and see what's up. But yeah, man, thank you for coming through and, and chatting. And we'll see what happens with Groupon too during market hours, and I'll set things up on the chart live. So yeah, man, you have a blessed night. Sleep well, and we'll talk later, man. Much love. Let's see. Big Days Out by Groupon. A summer of fun without breaking the bank. Big Days Out, June 2 to the 13th. Find top family activities in Chicago at great prices. Let's see, school's out, but the pressure's on for parents. 52% of kids say that they're bored by week one of summer. Summer break or budget breaker, $229. What families plan to spend per child per week on summer activities. 48% say summer spending impacts their ability to work. 65% of parents need to save up in advance just to cover those costs, and 53% worry that their children won't have a good summer, quote unquote, a good enough summer. And then it says here, deals that do good. $1 donated to the Boys and Girls Club of Chicago for every deal sold, up to $10,000, and a free 6-week summer survival guide with free activities, tips, and planned events. All right, this is not sponsored, by the way. We're here just doing research and seeing what's the latest here with the stock Groupon. Not financial advice. All right, so swinging in. All right. So yeah, we wanted to look back into this article that Big JR had talked about on the Discord earlier, or had posted. One second. Be 1 second. Let's see what's up. 1 second here. The bird is actually chirping. That's hilarious. Oh, did I cut it? No, I didn't cut it. Wait until you see the new GTII CEO's AI tools. Nah. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on Groupon. Like this week. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Looks like Lululemon took a huge dive. That is interesting. You're talking about a retail store, clothing store, Lululemon Athletica, and this took a major dive. Although they had reported good earnings and revenue, yet it wasn't enough. What happened? We'll see what happened. Look at this. This closed. This was at 300 and it was ranging between maybe $330 and $36 a share. Maybe 340. Something happened here after earnings and this thing tanked. Tanked so hard. It actually reached a low of $226. Was that? No, no way. Okay, no, that was something else. But anyways, yeah, from a low of 262. or 253. Okay, maybe 253. Anyways, that's a big drop. What does this say here? Lululemon shares tumble on warning that tariffs will hurt profit. So tariffs are actually shrinking Lululemon's profit. And Lululemon Athletica, the company said the tariffs and consumer malaise would hurt its earnings this year. And in the U.S., consumers remain cautious right now, and they're being very intentional about their buying decisions. So Lululemon makes products in China, Vietnam, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. And the company's profit forecast assumes that the Trump administration tariffs of 30% on Chinese imports and 10% on goods from other countries where Lululemon sources products. So to offset tariffs, the company is negotiating cost savings with suppliers, examining ways to cut shipping costs, and planning modest price increases on a small share of products. So that just comes to show you, like, that in itself is a big problem for these companies, especially clothing stores that mainly source their stuff from these countries that were listed, like China, Vietnam, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and other parts of the of the world. Even Nike at some point, Nike. If you take a look at Nike, you can go take a look on the. Hold on. That's a big drop. You take a look at Nike, right? This Nike had been dropping from like $82 and had reached a low of $52.28, which is the new 52-week low for Nike. And look, 3 days ago here, you got an article by Reuters that says Vietnam's trade surplus with U.S. surges, complicating tariff talks. So the key points, I'm not going to get into the whole article, but the key points is that Vietnam is in talks with Washington to avoid punitive tariffs. Exports to the U.S. and imports from China may jump in May, and in April only China and Europe had surpluses higher than Vietnam. So Vietnam's trade surplus with the U.S. expanded sharply in May as exports swelled, and its imports from China also jumped, exacerbating sore points with Washington that could hurt Hanoi's, which is one of the bigger cities in Vietnam, Hanoi, efforts to avoid crippling tariffs. And separate trade data from the U.S. also showed Vietnam's surplus overtook Mexico's in April, lagging only China and the European Union. So, U.S. President Donald Trump has vowed to bring down the U.S. trade deficit, and the Southeast Asian country faces one of his highest reciprocal tariffs at 46% if a deal cannot be negotiated before a pause on the levies, which ends in early July. All right. So now I gotta say, there is a resistance that I'm seeing here randomly. I did have this line here from the past, and ever since then, we do see that Nike had been recovering ever since this big drop a few months ago, and it filled a few gaps here. Okay, you got yourself one gap here, which it did fill, and then now you have another gap, which could potentially be, if something happens and they come into an agreement and all things work out, You could see that Nike returns to the upside. But then, if everything, of course, if it all looks bullish at this point, you could be seeing Nike coming back to the 70s. Um, Maybe this month or maybe the month of July. Who knows? But this next gap needs to be filled, just like this gap was filled, um, and had been trading within that gap, within that range since the middle of May to now. So from here, we're just wondering if it's actually going to continue, and if we're going to see a breakout and then hit that 200 and start uptrending, or if it's actually going to reject from here and cause the stock to actually drop back down to these levels again, and follow the market trends depending on what the market is doing. Because regardless of what stock it is and what sector, you always got to look at the indexes and see what's happening. Because right now, like, even though the SPY had been coming back from that low of 480 something. I mean, let me see. Let me go back to SPX. No, let me go back to the SPY, right? So even though the SPY was back down from the low of $481 back in April 7, and making all this comeback, then that's a lot of lines here. I gotta remove all these drawings. There you go. That looks wild. Even though that is the case, we don't know if SPY is just continuously hitting that resistance and capping at 600, where it did a couple of times, and then it doesn't return from there, and it'll continue to go down. Now, you're seeing the SPY right now, during the overnight session right now, where as it trades, and it usually begins at 8 p.m. Eastern time, all the way to 4 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, where pre-market opens. And then from there, you have a different session. But as you can see here, a while ago, it did have a death cross here in the 5-minute, and you see there is a bit of a resistance, and it's trading below the VWAP, so it's having a hard time trying to come back. It's under the 200 day period moving average, so it's usually a bearish thing when you see a stock trade below that. Obviously, if it's above it, then it's bullish. But yeah, for now, it's like it's like we gotta see. We do have another gap here. We have a gap on the 5-minute. I don't know how that's gonna play out. But like I said, that defeats the purpose of the fact that this is trading below the 200 EMA. I mean the 200 MA. Looking back at the 4-hour. Look at the back of the 4-hour. You can see like this hasn't really been keeping up, and it's like I said, it has been capping at 600 and below, and having a hard time trying to break back over. So if that's the case, then like I showed you on the chart here, all right, you do have, yeah, Jesse, I'm gonna be streaming live in the morning, so I got you. Just wanted to like put out this random stream here. And just to show you that there is still a big, hold on, let me do this right, somewhere around here. Okay, I think this will be a gap. So some way or somehow, if things start to get crazy and bearish, yeah, you might have an opportunity to see either two directions, right? You either see a continuation to the upside, but then again, with the way things are going on in reality, in the economy, who's to say that that is actually going to be the scenario? But in reality, excuse me, there is that gap. There is that gap that you see visible, and on top of that, there's another gap that you might have just saw right here. There is a gap right there. This is all in my opinion, and this is just like hypothetical, but and we don't know like in what time frame. I mean, in what time frame that this could happen, and all of a sudden things start to come back down, and then like all of a sudden see chaos in the markets, and then you'd have these two gaps to be filled, so somewhere between like 570 and 575, and then the next one being between 530 and 534, 535. So I'm just as this is just what I'm seeing so far. I could be wrong, but when gaps are made, gaps have to be filled back down, or vice versa. But anyways, yeah. So I just wanted to show you that in terms of what's going on with AMC. All right. There had been a descending triangle. It did break that, but for some reason there has been a bit of a resistance, and it looks like it has been below that 9-day period moving average, and this could cause some bearishness. All right, so let me just take a look at it real quick and show you. Right, let me show you real quick. So I'm not gonna take much of your time, but and look at this. This thing continues to this keeps happening. I always wonder why that is the case. But the VWAP spikes is something that I'm always just intrigued to see. And just looking at it from the past and how we've been seeing these VWAP spikes throughout these past few months is insanity, right? Seeing these spikes, up, $3 a share, and then now seeing the spikes here at like $4 a share, and coming back down. It's like a lifeline, beep, 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 beep. But it's actually, I'm surprised to actually see it down here. A spike at 366. So I don't know what that means. I can't quote you on it. Like, it's something that's very unusual that I've never seen on the chart on Webull. I haven't seen it happen on TradingView, but I could be wrong, so I would have to double check. But in terms of how I see this on the 4-hour, it's a little tough to say, because there hasn't really been actual movement where I could say that this will continue to the upside. But at the moment, it's like right in between. It could drop again. It could try to go for 330 around this level of support that I do see that it's visible, somewhat visible. All right. Again, this is just my guess, and I guess you want to say hypothetical TA. All right, so you have 330 around that range as support. Again, you do have to see, 350 a share is crucial. It has to go back over, and eventually it has to go back over $4. So those are very important levels to watch for. But if it breaks below 330, and that's including the market trends and what's going on, then yeah, it's just gonna have a rough time with AMC trying to get to the levels that we all want to see, in my opinion. So but by all means, just keep a watch on that. GameStop apparently was a different scenario, right? Because now on the 4-hour, we do see a little bit of a bullish activity in the indicators, where with the RSI, it seems to be breaking out here. The MACD still seems to be, still looks red to me. I really wonder. Okay, there you go. Yeah, you can see that there is a bounce on the MACD, and it's green currently on the, that's the 4-hour chart, by the way. All right, so that could be a good thing for GME, and could possibly see you could possibly see GME try to go for 30 again and try to break above, try to go, back past 330.50. Maybe you'll see 31 as another level of resistance to watch for. But things can happen. I know that there is earnings. There is earnings coming out. When earnings coming out on the 10th. Oh, that is tomorrow, Tuesday. Tuesday is GME earnings. Okay, so that is something to definitely watch for. So things are going to be really tight tomorrow, but we would just have to see how that plays out. It's no, depends, but this is wild. What is this? 29.45 to through $30. Yo, those bars are crazy. I've never seen anything like that before. That is insane. That is insane. That's on a 5-minute too. The 5-minute chart on Webull. Whatever this is what happened during the overnight trading market. That was almost an hour ago, where these spikes, these candles started happening. You have a 37-cent drop, 28 what's that? 28-cent rise, 23-cent drop. Those are some weird anomalies and weird candles. That is definitely weird. I don't know what that's all about. What's going on with calls? Let's see. June 13 expiration, $30 a share. $30 strike calls with some volume. 31. 35 being the highest in volume, and also the 32. But nobody's trying to play, closer to expiration dates. It's a little risky there. And on top of that, what's up, batter? Good morning, Europe. Good morning, Europe. I want to be changing let me change let me see, I want to change the layout of the chart. I gotta see what's up with this. Let me see something. How's your morning going so far, batter? Let's see, Lion Pride. Is it this one? It could be this one, or I could be wrong. Let me see. I'm not gonna lie, because this was a bit bearish, in my opinion, the way GME traded. So I feel like there could be more downside, as I'm looking at it from the charts on TradingView. Because you see how, like I said before, over the 200 is usually bullish, but then if everything starts to cross over each other, and bearish crossovers, and then going under the 200, and then you're rejecting again on the 9. What was that? The 9-day? No, that's the. What is this? The 13? Hold on. Oh, that's the 1348. The 13 is like trying to curl right back down too. The RS, no, that is the, let me see. That is the ADX. So it's kind of still up high on the negative, but the positive also it ended up flat. The MACD for GME on the 5 minute had been a little bit on the bearish side, so I don't know if that's gonna continue. I'm just tracking to see what's going on here, because from this point of view on, oh, okay, see, so it doesn't make sense, because here from this point of view, even though there has been some random spikes to $30, there's some big spikes that went down below 29.50 to like 29.45. So I think overall, and look, and there's a gap that's printed on this 5 minute chart. So Weeble is showing this gap at a range between 29.37 and 29.45. But that's that's in case, for example, if SPY decides to actually pull back and start falling back into these levels here, and depending on what the news is, and whatever's going on like in the economy, or if a specific sector like the tech sector, if bearish, I mean, you could see this week bearish scenario would be back down to like 594 or 595. Bullish would probably be like from 599, 600. But I keep seeing like 600 being the cap before rejecting and then coming back down. So, oh, it was early 6:25 in the morning. Just looking to pre-market developments. Nice to follow your stream. Yeah, man. Thank you, man. I'm just you know, whatever I can do to help out, and just observe and research and see what's going on. Let me see. Depending on what stock you're trying to look into, it would be nice to just fill that gap at market open and rise from there. Oh, you mean for GME? Are you talking about GME? Cause yeah, I mean, like it did hit a bottom at 29 exactly back on the 5th of June. You see, look at this. Look at this. Look at these anomalies happening. Look at this as we're streaming live. And look, I'm gonna put it on the minute chart so I can show you what's happening. Look at this. Look at this candle flipping from red to green. You can see here on the 26-minute mark military time, so that means 12:26 a.m. Eastern time, how this thing was at 29.60 with 1,639 share sell order, and then it just popped right back up to 29.85, which is small amounts of shares. So that is very strange to see. You could tell that in some ways that this had been a little bit suppressed, in the fact that this looks like it's been barcoding. I mean, it usually barcodes anyway, in between aftermarket, pre-market, and then just waiting for the real volume to pop up during market hours. But this is definitely something strange to me, in my opinion, of course. Like, this is weird. I'm just seeing these random spikes like come out and then flipping up and down like that. So it's like, which direction are we going? Are we going to see GME go back to the direction over 30, or are we going to actually see this like fill that that random gap down here at 29.35, 29.40, or probably see it come back down to 29 on the mark? So it's pretty tricky. It's pretty tricky. It's pretty tricky. But overall, like if you see it on another chart, even though this doesn't include overnight trading, originally this is supposed to be set to like drop back down to like 2950 and below before reaching another bottom and then saying, okay, well, you know what, maybe it's time for another bounce. As for here on the hourly chart, completely different because you do see like somewhat of a bear flag, right? And you can also see here this trading below the 200, the 50, no, the 200, the 1348, the 13. Here's the candles trading underneath that. You see the Hikinashi candles, this indicator here that also represents the market trend or the momentum. And pretty much the momentum here in the hourly have been bearish. So even that was saying like that it could continue to drop right around this range. So 29.30, 29.30, So that could be the scenario. That's a massive drop over here, back to 27.80. That was like May 30th. But as long as it can actually hold above 29 and stay within this range, then things could, start turning around, in my opinion. But this is something weird. But we'll see what happens we'll see what happens later on during market day. Take a look at finger, and you can see what finger's doing. And speaking of finger, Big JR, what is good? Yo, my ass is hurting, bro. Sitting on this chair, and I didn't even mean to stream this late. I just figured, why not, just hop in, do a little research, view some tickers, and see what's going on. I do still have that article that you shared on Discord about professor testing ChatGPT, ChatGPT's DeepSeeks, and Grok's stock picking skills, suggesting stockbrokers should be worried. And dude, it's crazy because like I mentioned before, as I replied to your post, that we had a lot of tickers that we ran into, and we had discussed based on certain events, like for example the president's inauguration and his executive orders and things about clean energy and uranium. And then we were running into stocks like Lightbridge, like Lightbridge. So if you go back to thank you, bro. so so if we talk about Lightbridge, right? Obviously, we were looking at this article here. So I'm gonna go here. Real quick. And so here, let's see. Oh yeah, we were pretty much researching the deal with Oklo, which is a nuclear power and fuel recycling company, and that included plans for collaboration in recycling nuclear waste. And then we found out that Oklo was working with Lightbridge, which was another company that we had found. Oh shoot, that we had found through ChatGPT, surprisingly. So if we go ahead and look, if we put in the ticker stock here, you take a look at risk on assets, and you see that Lightbridge was listed on here. Let's see where it is. Where is it? It was here before. Damn. Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It might have not been here. No, I don't think it was here. Hold on. Stargate. Let me see. I think it was this one. Was it this one? Let me see. Yeah, I think it was this one. So there was that executive order, and the highlighted text in the executive order emphasizes the removal of regulatory burdens on domestic energy development, specifically for oil, natural gas, coal, hydropower, biofuels, critical minerals, and nuclear energy. And stocks that align with this policy would likely include companies in these industries. And then it lists, like here, and not financial advice, of course, some key stocks that could benefit from that executive order. And then it showed here, Exxon, Chevron, Phillips, Oxy, Devon Energy, EOG Resources, Cheapskate Energy. I don't think those tickers are existing, but then you got Peabody Energy, BTU, Arch Resources, here, Nuclear Energy, and look, Camco Corp, CCJ, Energy Fuels, ticker symbol UUUU, Lightbridge Corp, look at that, LTBR, and it says here which you are already tracking. So it had already talked about LTBR before, and so that came out. One second. Yeah, so that was quite surprising to see that. And ever since, we pretty much put that on the watch list, like Lightbridge, back in January, if you could look at the daily chart real quick. Yo, this is crazy. Let's see. I think it was somewhere around the inauguration. So January 18, I know that we was talking about Lightbridge afterwards around the third week of January, and this was trading at like $6 a share, or just below it. And then ever since that executive order took place afterwards, man, and that thing went up crazy. It went from barely $6 all the way to as high as $16.90. So that ChatGPT pretty much gave us a runner, and we all pretty much put in the work in researching into it and finding out finding out more about this company. And on top of that, you had UUU, right? So UUU, let's see, they didn't really have much effect though, but you can tell that now recently, since April 7th, when it was at a low of $3.20, from there it started to take a trend to the upside slowly, and you can see it right there, dude. Know what I'm saying? Know what I mean? So yeah, dude, like it's on a uptrend. It's on an ascending channel. Not financial advice. So this could be potentially something to look into as well. There might be some rejections here and there. There can be some ups and downs, but if this can continue on an uptrend like that within this channel, yeah, it might be a potential play. Oklo, since we had just been talking about their collaboration with Lightbridge, and if we look back at since inauguration, and because of that partnership deal or whatever, it had been running with Lightbridge, and this was after the inauguration, where this was trading at what 21.50, and this thing went up as high as almost $60 by February 7th, and then after that, it took another dip down all the way down to as low as 17.42 on April 7th, and then it came right back up, dude, all the way back to 58.69, dude. That was a run and a half, and that you're talking about a 225% gain in 57 days. So that would have been another good play too. Also, thanks to ChatGPT, Big JR is. Let me see. He said if you ask ChatGPT about the article, it would say yes, our evil plan is underway. If it's an evil plan to work against the shorts and give us some actual good tickers to make money off of, then by all means, I am with the evil plan. I am with Skynet. Oh, I mean ChatGPT. Yo, fishy on the chat, dude. What's good? Cup and handle for Oklo, dude. That is exactly what we're looking at too. That is a mean cup and handle. Although I gotta admit though, although there is a little gap here, so we had to watch out for that gap. That's somewhere above $40, 40 to 43. Not as accurate, but yeah, man, you got that. But then you also got the high of $60, where it actually tested twice, man. You see, we do have, you know what? But then again, you do have a double top. It's clearly there. You do have a double top right there, and it was just playing out. So either two things, you got that the handle completing itself and breaking off, or we pretty much have that double top in play, and then it starts to fill the gap back down, and then I think there's another one right here. It might have caught my attention, but I don't know if you guys see it too. But let me zoom in real quick so you can see it. You can see it right now. Oh my God, Zelly's here too. How you doing, love? Good morning. Good morning to you. Yeah, there's a little small gap right here. I just noticed. You see, this is something that y'all gotta look into, because you never know what details you might miss. But there is a small little tiny gap right here, right there. All right. Okay, this might not play out. You do not know. You do see that the MACD is bearish at the moment, and the ADX here, the positive here is sloping down. You got the negative here, but the negative starts to come right back up. You already know the ADX is probably going to turn negative, and it's probably going to go red, and you might just see that the gaps get filled. Not financial advice, but like I said, this is only for educational and research purposes, not financial advice. How's everything? Hey, Zelly. All in $30 GME calls? Dang. I see you. I see what you mean. But yeah, not only Oklo though, alright, because Lightbridge also took in the same algo as Oklo, believe it or not. Right? So you see it from there. See? That's like the same shade, bro. Look at that. I'm not even kidding you. Look at that. So even though like Lightbridge is a little bit more defined, and then the pattern is like ranging, but if this actually goes and starts breaking breaking over 17 as an example, then that can all change for Oklo too, because Oklo could just follow and do the same thing and complete that handle that Fishy was talking about and break it or break that handle. Matter of fact, what is Oklo doing right now? Because I think Oklo is a 24-hour. Yeah, it is. It is trading on the 24-hour market session. Oh, and it actually did. Oh, it actually went up to 51 bucks. Say word. That's crazy. All right, so look at that. MSTR just had good earnings. It's supposed to rip too. Well, I mean that depends, bro. That actually depends on what crypto is doing, to be honest. Cause the crypto is also holding up there. And look, you could see there is instances where, in my opinion, like you had peaks. You had Bitcoin peaking out at a certain time. Times like around December, back in mid-January, and coming all the way back down. And then you have this huge rally from Bitcoin coming back up here around 112,000 on the mark, being the new all-time high for Bitcoin, and then now peaking out from there and coming down. Like who knows if this. Oh, and then you know what? As I'm talking about this, we might just be seeing a head and shoulders. I mean, do you guys see that? Look at that head. This could be a shoulder forming. I'm not too sure, but I'm just gonna leave this right here just in case. Just in case. Right? This is on the daily. If this plays out, because if this is the case, we might just see a potential rejection here. And if that happens, and if Bitcoin decides to fall back through, below 102,000, you got Lewis right here. Lewis on the chat, money don't sleep, so why shouldn't we? You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. Cause, cause sleepy money don't make money. Weak money don't make money. Scared money don't make money. But all I'm saying is regardless, because we've seen it time and time again, and how the miners, those Bitcoin miners, react to the way Bitcoin moves. So, I mean, like, don't be shocked, don't be surprised. If Bitcoin decides to start falling from this point, reject that Hakanashi, you know, and then all of a sudden you see Bitcoin falling right back through and retesting, well, it looks like that is the 48, the 1348 strategy, the EMA. So if it falls and it tries to test that 48 EMA, that's 101,600. That can pretty much affect the rest of the miners, including MicroStrategy, in my opinion, regardless of the of their earnings, because mainly they make their earnings through Bitcoin. And on top of that, look at this, and this is the 5 minute, and look what Weeble. This is Weeble, right? This is, again, not finished advice, but Weeble be posting gaps here, and they have a gap that's falling right back down to 370. Like right now to 376. But right now it's trading at 380. It's trading at 380 as we speak. So you take a look at MicroStrategy. Then we take a look at Bitcoin on the 5 minute, and look what we're just saying. Now Bitcoin is bearish, and then we got the 13 rejecting the 48, and now look at this. We're getting some sell-offs right now, right at This very moment. What is this? What on earth is this? How did we get to this point? Merge on scales to the left. What is this? What? I didn't do this. Hold on. Hold on. Am I tripping? Were these values always here? What is this? Nah. Hold on. Oh, you see what I'm talking about? Hold on. Okay, hold on. Hold on, cause it. What just happened, bro? How did this move? What? Bro, what is this? Yo, hold on. Move to existing pane above. Yo, how did that even happen? My bad, guys. My bad. This thing was tripping on me. Cause how did I get that? How did I get that indicator down here? I didn't even move it anywhere. Exactly, Zelly. Look at that. Money bag check equals love. Wait, hold on. Wait. Wait, when is Roaring Kitty's birthday? I just missed that. Like I say, regardless, it's 5 on every 20, and I'll see you on Friday. I bet, Lewis. Though you're gonna make that 20 a 20,000, and then you're gonna make that 20,000 and 20 million by Friday. Nah, I mean the 9th. It's the 9th right now. So what's good with that? What's happening with how you see? You see this bearish right now at the moment. And not only that, but I think the indexes is dropping too. Let me see. Yeah, look, you got SPY futures here trying to go red. It's trying to drop a lot even more. It's down almost negative 0.20%. You got the US dollar index down negative 0.21%. Open the box. Word. You gotta open the box for real. Yo, give me 1 second. Let me see something here. Look at the 4-hour. Oh shoot. I think we got new contracts opening up for futures. Let me see. Oh, June 16. Oh, it's changing. All right, let me look at Hold on, let me just give me 1 minute. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I think SPY futures trying to come down here. MicroStrategy here pulling back, you see? When is earnings? No, earnings is not even, wait, hold on. MicroStrategy earnings, did that pass already? No. Wait, hold on, I'm confused. Give me 1 second. Thank you, Zelly. Oh shit, it's pulling back. It's pulling back right now. Yeah, it's pulling back. MSTR. Wait, what? You said, hold on, you said Wait, MicroStrategy just had good earnings. It's supposed to rip too? No, they actually missed last time. Yeah, they had missed. May 1st. May 1st was the last earnings. See, they had reported a fifth consecutive quarterly loss, announced $21 billion equity offering. Um, and that was a reported quarterly loss of 5.91 billion from its digital assets due to a quarter end Bitcoin price of 82,445. And the strategy moved to a new accounting rule in the first quarter, which allows the company to fairly value its unrealized gains or losses on its crypto holdings. It said here, um, it has said here by the financial chief of MicroStrategy that one fundamental difference now under fair value accounting is that our holdings are marked on the last day of every quarter, not throughout the quarter as before. And then it says here that the company also announced a $21 billion at the market common stock equity offering and intending to use proceeds for further acquisition of Bitcoin. Let me see what other news here. And then you had here May 8th, MicroStrategy's stock surging because of Bitcoin regaining 100K per Bitcoin. The company had used a combination of common and preferred equity and convertible debt sales to fund its Bitcoin purchases. And I think recently, or maybe they have bought more, but the Bitcoin bought this year is now worth 10.95 billion, or 837.6 million more than the company paid, and a little bit more since Bitcoin is currently at 105,544. But like I said, depending on what, in my opinion, of course, if what's happening with the economy in general, and as crypto being tied up to financial markets in general, and what they use for, in terms of like average leveraging. I want to believe that that Bitcoin could continue, but I don't know about you guys, but I kind of see a head and shoulders. It might just be me, but again, this might be something that's happening currently. Maybe wrong. We never know. We're just gonna see if this actually plays out or not. So let's see what happens this week with Bitcoin. Wait, what? Stepped out? Cause it got heck, you know what? I want Bitcoin to drop so bad. You have no idea. You have no idea, man. But let me go ahead and go on Twitter real quick. Don't listen to me. I get all my info from YouTube. Stepped out in the blaze and got a pleasant surprise. Thanks, Lion. A pleasant surprise for y'all to be joining. To be joining here. So thank you. Let me go ahead and Roaring Kitty. Let me see something here. So the present. I thought that present was based on Christmas though, because it's green and red. But what is the gold about? Hmm. I wonder if there's any replies. Let's see. No replies at all. It's just the same thing. Oh, really? Oh, it was June 8th. He's now 39 years old. Born on June 8th, 1986, to Stephen and Elaine Gill, and was raised in Brockton, Massachusetts. He had two siblings, a sister who died unexpectedly in 2020, and a brother. So, happy belated birthday to Roaring Kitty, Keith Gill. Interesting. You know what's very funny? You know what's funny? How is it? Okay, I just put my tinfoil hat on. Isn't it funny that because I searched Keith Gill's birthday, look at the other people that's beside him. How ironic is this? You have Keith Gill. Next to him, you have Ryan Cohen. Then next to him, you have Gabe Plotkin. And who's Gabe Plotkin? Melvin? Yeah, Melvin. He was the founder and chief investment officer of former Melvin Capital. And then right next to him, you have Vladimir Tenev, Bulgarian CEO of Robinhood. Isn't that that's weird? That's weird. That is funny. How about that, huh? How would they have all these four people together? Including him, including Roaring Kitty, RC, Gabe Plotkin, and Vladimir Tenev. I don't know. It's just speculation, but that is I think that's just something random that I've never thought I'd see. I was just only searching for Keith Gill's birthday. Anyways, let's go back here. Let's go back and search Roaring Kitty. Oh, now we're just seeing, okay. Why are you so quiet? What's on your mind? Happy birthday, DFE? What is this? Where is Roaring Kitty when you need him to say, I like the stock, so we can experience another GME level type squeeze on finger and destroy these shorts? Wow. Looks like a MOAS in the making. Oh, wow. Dude, that was back in July 10th of 2023. Uh-oh. Whoa. Oh my god. What do we have here, ladies and gentlemen? Bitcoin is on a bearish path to hell. Ooh. Oh yeah. Goes green, red, and then turns to gold. Green, red, gold. It should be red, green, and then gold. Like red candles turn into green candles, then green candles turn to gold. Because gold is what we're gonna have a lot of in our own personal vaults. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, that was a random trigger there. That was a random trigger. I did not expect that at all. Let's see. I would want to know if this is the case scenario for this week, as both the dollar and Bitcoin face downside at the very same moment. Well, we thought that perhaps, if the dollar goes down, then Bitcoin benefits from that, because it would be considered Bitcoin to be a safe asset in terms of economic turmoil. But if Bitcoin, in my opinion, are very well tied to financial markets, then they have a lot of leveraged assets with Bitcoin, and so I'm not too sure, because if the market tends to go down crazy in economic turmoil, maybe Bitcoin could do the same thing. Yes. And we will have to experience a lot more downside, in my opinion. What is this? Oh, right. Let's read up quickly on this, right? So, a professor testing ChatGPT's DeepSeek's and Grok's stock picking skills suggest stockbrokers should worry, right? So, this was an article that was published on June 7th, 2 days ago, by Layla Maiden. Can't say the name right. So, Alejandro Lopez Lira has been gauging the abilities of different artificial intelligence models to pick stocks. So is artificial intelligence coming for the jobs of Wall Street and traders? An assistant professor of finance at the University of Florida, Alejandro Lopez Lira, has spent the past few years trying to answer that question. Lopez Lira has been experimenting with ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and Grok to see if AI can be used to pick stocks. So far, he's impressed with what the current available AI chatbots can do when it comes to trading equities. So in an interview, Lopez Lira acknowledged that AI is prone to making mistakes, as it usually says here, right at the bottom, where it says that ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info. But he has not seen the 3 versions he's been using do anything quote unquote stupid. His work comes as more market participants are thinking about the implications of AI for investing and trading. He quotes and says, "Oh, I don't know what tasks out there analysts are doing with information that can't be done with large language models," Lopez Lira said. "The only 2 expectations are things that involve interacting in the physical world or having in-person conversations. But other than that, I would imagine all of the tasks, or most of the tasks, can already be automated." So shortly after OpenAI Inc. released ChatGPT in 2022, Lopez Lira began testing the chatbot's skills. He wanted to know if ChatGPT and AI in general would show an ability to pick stocks. While there are numerous ways to approach the question, Lopez Lira began with a simple exercise. Could the AI application accurately interpret whether a headline on a news story is good or bad for a stock? What he found surprised him. Conducting a backtest simulating historical stock market returns, the study used more than 134,000 headlines from press releases and news articles for over 4,000 companies that were pulled from third party data providers. The headlines were fed into ChatGPT using a programming language called Python. ChatGPT would then decide whether a headline was positive for a company, negative, or unknown. The results were then saved in a data file and uploaded into statistical software in which headlines perceived as positive would result in a stock purchase. Negative headlines would trigger short sales, effectively betting against a stock in anticipation that it will fall in price. If ChatGPT was uncertain, no action was taken. Because this was an academic simulation, no actual stocks were traded, but the software did compare the simulated performance against historical outcomes. The stock picks were made daily, with a median of 70 stocks bought and a median of 20 shorted. For Lopez Lira, the tricky thing about using a backtesting approach was that the AI could know what, in the end, had transpired. OpenAI had trained ChatGPT in 2022 on data up until September 2021. So Lopez Lira tested that the chatbot using headlines after October 2021. This way, ChatGPT wouldn't know what was happening or what was going to happen and would need to rely on only reason to come to conclusions. So his findings were released on the SSRN preprint platform in April 2023 in a paper titled, quote, "Can ChatGPT forecast stock price movements? Return predictability and large language models." The study, currently being peer-reviewed, found that ChatGPT had, quote, "significant predictive power for economic outcomes in asset markets." The GPT-4 version had an average daily return of 0.38%, with a compounded cumulative return of over 650% from October 2021 to December 2023. Now, obviously, this academic study had limitations. In the real world, frictions exist that would strain returns, including brokerage, transaction costs, and fees, and the availability of shares, taxes, and price impact, which is when relatively large trades move a stock's price. Additionally, about 76% of the gains came from shorts, a trading strategy that can be more fraught due to short interest fees and the need to find the shares to borrow and sell short. So our results here, quote, "So our results on paper are much more optimistic than what the performance in reality would be with a reasonable investment size," Lopez Lira said. But the tilt toward positive returns was enough for him to conclude that ChatGPT had understood economic markets and shown an ability to forecast stock outcomes. This is a large. Okay. Sheesh. Alright, I'm just gonna yeah, well, the article is posted. You can read the rest on Discord. Thanks to Big JR. It's gonna be right there, right here, for everybody to see. We can read the rest. I'm it's not. Yeah, dude, it's 1:14 in the morning. Holy crap! Wow. Okay. So I mean, with that being said, I mean, we like I mentioned before, we had gone through a lot of conversations with ChatGPT, and like I showed you before, with certain articles, certain things that happen, certain events, like we had just talked about earlier, like here about the executive order. that emphasized on the removal of regulatory burdens on domestic energy development, oil, natural gas, coal, hydropower, biofuels, critical minerals, and nuclear energy, which had been talked about recently a lot. So uranium and nuclear energy stocks. All right, you had Lightbridge Corp, Oklo, Energy Fuels Inc. Right, you even had, if we go search here for UEC, right, you can see that that there was look, I mean, it was listed on here before, right? You had a question that said here, which other stocks in this section would also benefit under this administration? And then it says here, several stocks in the uranium and rare earth elements sector, as well as companies tied to U.S. energy independence and critical minerals, could benefit under a Trump administration. And the key contenders here listed: CCJ, DNN, right? So DNN, I'll just show you real quick. Denison Mines, we show that on the 4-hour chart real quick. Let me see. How does that look? Look at that. The daily, all right, took a big bounce here from as low as $1.09, and now coming back up. It's at, closed at 168. Oh, okay, got it. Yo, Big GR, thanks for the heads up, and thank you for sharing that article, and for having us look into it. And yeah, I think in some ways it is true. There is definitely a way that we can, all see from ChatGPT based on what information we feed into it, and articles, events, yada yada yada, and surprisingly have GPT pick out stocks that would be involved into any of those scenarios. And fortunately, that was the case. And look, Denison Mines, one of the tickers on the list, right? So next gen energy, NXC, right? So NXC, let me see if that is next gen energy. All right, NX energy. Look at that, same algorithm as Denison Mines. That is hilarious. Look at that. And it looks like it's above the 200, 1348 bullish. So it could start heading back up to like 7, if that's the case. Yo, so Big JR, again, thank you. Much love to you, man, and good luck this week. Get some rest, and yeah, man. I'll see you in the next. I'll be in the stream in the morning, so yeah, man. Hop on if you can, and yeah. Thank you. Let's see. So look at that. NXC. Here at a low of 391, the 52-week low. 391 back in April 7th, and hit a high of 660 on May 27th. Here it looks like it's on an uptrend, and it's close to getting a little golden cross years, right? So that could be possible that that NXE could be reaching $7 in the future. Maybe, yeah, I'm gonna say maybe around there, around 7. That would be the bullish price target, in my opinion, not financial advice. So you had NXE, and then on the rare earth minerals, I know you've heard about this one. You've talked about this a lot. Fishy MP Materials. All right. So MP Materials. All right. You can see that this had some swings here, left and right, and a big bounce here from the end of May, from 1864 and going as high as 2760. All right, so a lot going on right there. So MP Materials. Matt wanted me to look into Master Beef Group. Is this what? Oh wow. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead. I'll just put this on like that. Okay, that I've never seen this before, but wow. I guess this had an IPO back in April 10. This thing was at a low of 73. This thing jumped as high as 858. So this was the stock that Matt was talking about earlier. I didn't get to check out. Lina's Rare Earths. I think it's here. You see, Lina's. Is it here or here? Oh, it was this right here. Look at this. This is an OTC stock, over the counter stock. Right? It was at a low of 368 once upon a time. 368 on the 52-week low, and then it reached a 52-week high on Thursday at 617. So even this OTC stock, Lina's Rare Earths Limited, here on the rise. So even that's actually moving. You also have Uranium Energy Corporation. Also with that inverse head and shoulder looking pattern there, it's above the 200, and perhaps maybe seeing that going up and trying to hit 7 again. If not, we have a gap down here. We actually have a gap. I'm seeing a little gap here, actually probably somewhere around 560 to $6. We'll see if that actually gets filled right there. So yeah, I mean, look at that: nuclear energy, light bridge, oil. You know, you'd be surprised at what you can find on ChatGPT. So that being said, you know, we'll see what happens in the market hours. So, and then we're just talking about. Let me see. Go back to Bitcoin. Head and shoulders. Would that play out? All right. It seems like we're seeing more rejections here. It could be that Bitcoin starts to, you know, fly back down. We just gotta see what happens in overall markets. What we got going on for this week on the calendar? Oh shoot, guys. So, all right. So we have core inflation rate year over year, inflation rate month over month, and year over year. 8:30 in the morning, June 11th. 8:30 in the morning Eastern Time, June 11th. Core inflation data. PPI, June 12th, 8:30 in the morning. And Michigan Consumer Sentiment Preliminary, June 13th 10 in the morning. So it's going to be an interesting week here. Let's see how those readings. Let's see what that data shows for the inflation report. I'm gonna have to really take a close look and see what happens with the market, especially Tuesday. And on top of that, on top of inflation rate data coming out on Tuesday, you have GME with earnings on Tuesday as well, after market close. Yes. So currently GME at 29.81. So we'll see if this actually pushes up. We might see GME break over 30, go for 35 maybe by the end of this week, based on what the earnings has in store. And but yeah, with that being said, okay, we're gonna definitely stop right here. And I'm sore. So we'll come back. We're gonna stream the charts live. And we'll see. Yo, Trump, like, you think the S&P was high with Biden? Oh, check this out. No, I think, in my opinion, I think Biden and his cronies and the DS still have some tricks up their sleeve, and they're probably gonna continue trying to make Trump's life a living hell and doing things in the markets that will eventually fall under him and will be blamed for, because he didn't do his job and all this stuff and yada yada yada, speculating. I just know that there's still more to see, and it's not gonna be a good look. And I mean, let me just take a look at what's happening, man. Like, a lot of chaos. And yeah, he's getting blamed for that. So yeah, I just think that especially with commodities going up, right? You got we have a lot to see for this month of June, and it all starts with the inflation report on Tuesday and so forth. And I believe the middle of June, let's see, I think, June 11th we have CPI. Oh, say word. Really? June 11th? Okay, so June 11th. Okay, yeah, CPI. Then Thursday, PPI. Then the week after that, let's see. What? Oh, June 18th is the Federal Reserve interest rate decision. Interest rate projection first year, then second year, then current, and then longer. Oh, this is gonna be a crazy month. I can just feel it. Oh yeah. Oh, prepare yourself, guys and gals. It's gonna be a rough ride. Only here in the Lion's Den with yours truly, Lion of All Trades. Remember that this stream was only for educational, research, and entertainment purposes. None of this was financial advice. And I wish you all the best luck and good trading this week. Play safe. I'd like to thank everybody who joined here late tonight. Thank you to Big JR, Fishy, Jerry, Jess, Gary, Lewis, Batter, Clipgrid, coming back for just a short amount of time, and Matt, and Zelly. Thank you, Zelly, for coming through. Much love. Love you all. And take care. And I'll see you in the morning in the next stream with yours truly, Lion of all trades, in the Lion's Den. Thank you. Buenas noches. Good night. Peace.